What's going on, everybody? My name is Mascis here, and welcome to the first ever Master Duel Masterclass. This is essentially just going to be replays that I might find interesting that either are submitted to me or I've played myself. The first one here is a replay between me playing Phantom Knights here versus Eldlich Dogmatika. I've been playing Phantom Knights for quite some time in the TCG. A couple months ago, I think back in September, I top-8'd a IRL tournament with Phantom Knights, so I feel like I'm pretty decent with the deck, but it's always good to go through your games and see what your opponent could have done better, what you could have done better, and just learn from that overall. So we're going to get started right here. I'm going second in this review, or in this game. My opponent starts off with a Pot of Extravagance. I see a Dogmatika card here. I'm thinking that this could be, this is probably just like Eldlich Dogmatika right off the bat if they're going to start with Pot of Extravagance. I don't want them to set up a punishment. I don't really want them to get into any of their Dogmatika shenanigans. I've opened Effect Veiler as my only point of interaction, so of course I'm just going to probably throw this Effect Veiler down here. So do that here. Then he does a cool play here with his Eldlich. So what he can do is he can use Eldlich's effect and discard a card, a spell or trap card, to actually destroy his own Dogmatika Ecclesia. And this will allow Eldlich to just chill in the graveyard. He can bring Eldlich back during his turn when he needs to. He sets 2 cards here, and I'm thinking that probably one of these is a Scarlet Sanguine, the one that will special summon. He didn't need to actually do this. He probably could have kept his cards in the hand. He might have been some, it would have made more sense if he actually used the second effect of Eldlich the Golden Lord that lets him special summon from the graveyard to summon his Eldlich back in defense or attack or whatever, just to have it on board. And then if he had something like Conquistador or Hakero, he could activate that card and get them to the, start getting them online and actually get some value out of it. I'm saying he here because I'm just assuming that it's a male. It could be a female or a they them. Just a short hand here. So I go off and I'm going to summon Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardiche, or sorry, not Rusty Bardiche, of Torn Scales. This is the best normal summon in the deck. This card is very, very strong. It sort of is your 1-card combo card. As soon as I summon it, though, before I even attempt to activate the effects, he uses Skill Drain. Now, what he should probably do is wait for me to use the effect, so that if I do use the effect, I'm losing a card out of this ordeal. But he uses Skill Drain right away, which is fine. He'll take 1,000. I try to follow up with Emergency Teleport. This is an extender that I can use to go find a Psychic monster. He decides to activate Imperial Order. Now, I feel like a lot of newer players may, or some other, not just newer players, but other players may see this scenario right here. Look at what I have in my hand, my own copy of Imperial Order, which isn't that great in a matchup that's focused around trap cards, and some cards that aren't really interactive that well versus my opponent, and probably just scoop their cards up right here. There's no way that they can possibly win. I don't like that mentality. I try to, play the game out as best as I can to see if I can exploit any weaknesses in my opponent's game and play out of the situation at hand. So it's not the end of the world if this Emergency Teleport gets negated. I attack him for 600. And then right here, I actually use the effect, and it's going to be negated here, but I want to get this Fog Blade into the graveyard, because what I can do is I can use this Fog Blade later on to bring back this and go into Zeus to try to, because what I can do is if I draw another Phantom Knights monster, I'm going to be able to at least get a draw here with Maxi if he uses the Eldlich the Golden Lord in the hand. So I'll have another Phantom Knights monster in my hand. I can use that Fog Blade to bring back this, and then I can try to go into Zeus, which can kind of wall out, as long as he doesn't find a way to get his Eldlich into the graveyard again to bring it back and attack over. I want to do this because this Imperial Order right here is a clock. It's gonna deal 700 points of damage to him every standby phase. So as long as this stays on the board and I can kind of stall while this is getting him closer and closer to a low life count, I might be able to draw into some of my cards that I main deck and that actually deal with the back row. Because right now I don't have any of that right now. So I want to be able to put up a body that can wall out the Eldlich guy. Seeing that he doesn't really have a lot of cards to work with, and if he didn't set skill, like if he set skill drain here and he set Imperial Order, that could tell me that this card is either like a monster that's not real, that he can't like interact with Eldlich with, or it's like another copy of one of these cards, so it could be another copy of the skill drain that he just didn't want to set again. It's definitely not a like Scarlet Sanguine. It could be a spell from Imperial Order that he decided I'm just not going to activate because I have Imperial Order, so there's no need to activate or set it. But yeah, that seeing these two and no other set cards kind of tells me that this card in the hand doesn't interact well with the Eldlich in his graveyard. So I'm setting it up here so I can bring back my guy, because I've already committed to the normal summon. And I don't need to set Imperial Order because there's already one up on the board. So he goes and sets another card. It's the Scarlet Sanguine there. And he's using the Eldlich effect to bring Eldlich back. I'm going to chain Mascis. He's going to chain Ash Blossom. So it was exactly what I thought. It was a card that didn't really interact with stuff that's on the board. It was a hand trap. So Ash Blossom's going to get rid of this Mascis here, and he's going to be able to special summon the Golden Lord. Golden Lord comes out. Now he can use the Scarlet Sanguine, and he actually, instead of getting an engine card, he gets Golden Land Forever, which is the counter trap. I would have just gone for an engine card. This card isn't that great because it sends the Golden Lord away. And you really want the Golden Lord on the board or in the graveyard, like in rotation at least with the effects that you have here. The counter trap doesn't actually extend you out anything like any of your other cards. You kind of cut off your engine when you go search it. So it would be better if he had like one of the spell cards that lets you do the same thing to set her to like in their graveyard already, so he could go get it while this was already in rotation. You should have just probably got like a regular Golden Land here, but instead he gets Golden Land Forever, and he's just gonna attack my guy, which is fine. I mean, I'm gonna take this damage anyway. Now I could have gone ahead and actually like set this instead, and then put this like prevent this attack from happening. But I decided this is probably the better play. I draw another Torn Scales for turn. Let's take the 700. I just set the Torn Scales here to prevent some damage to go through. Because I put the Fog Blade in the graveyard, I'm able to set this Torn Scales, block an attack, make him take 700 here. He's going to take 14 from this whole exchange, and then I'll be able to use my effect to get the Torn Scales back. Takes 700 here. He sets another card and attacks. Not really much to go off there. I get another level 3 in the Kagamucha Knight. And this is the turn that I decide I'm going to activate this effect. I'm trying to bait out the Golden Land Forever here. He decides to flip Conquistador instead. So this actually works in favor for me, because this Conquistador puts a monster on the board, and I still, because I banished a card with the Fog Blade effect, I can trigger the other Torn Scales in my graveyard. So now I'll get to normal summon this. We exceed into Breaksword. Now, this is actually a mistake on my part. What I should have probably did was go into, was attack with Levier instead to keep this on the board. But when I thought about it, I was like, okay, we can kill this, because if he does do an effect and he does draw a card that lets him add, like that lets, if it's a spell and trap, what could happen is that he can link away Eldlich and the Golden Land card, And then what would happen is he could use Eldlich, send like Skill Drain or the Imperial Order, and then activate the like don't special summon it. Or he could just special summon it, but he probably actually would just special summon it at that point and just attack over the Zeus that I'm about to make. So it probably was better in the long run for me to do this play, but I feel like another option that could have been that Levier. I didn't want to. This does keep his engine on, but it delays him from being able to do that sort of play. So we go here and we make the downer. Because the downer is not going to do much otherwise here. This Zeus is just going to hopefully sit for a little bit and block any incoming attacks. So he goes into defense mode, uses the Conquistador, and instead of getting a Scarlet Sanguine, he gets a Black Awakening. I don't understand why. I guess because he saw that this was going. He already had an Eldlich the Golden Lord, so he didn't want to somehow get access to another one or another zombie type. Because this was preventing him from activating this card to begin with. So I'm not sure exactly why he got that. I think that was a misplay on my opponent's part. But this did stall a turn, so this is another 1400 that I'm going to be able to deal to my opponent. So I set a Fog Blade here. I mean, this is good because you can activate Fog Blade underneath Skill Drain. That's something that the game kind of tells you, but it's good to know that not to give up right away if you're in a situation like this, because you do have a way to block attacks with your Fog Blade. Takes another 700. So he activates the spell card now, and just to get it in the graveyard. So doesn't do anything else here. I draw into a Silent Boots. He takes another 700 here, so he's going to be down to 800. Next turn, when he takes it, this will be at 100. And then when it goes back to me, that's when the skill drink or the Imperial Order will go away. So if I draw a spell here, my spell's now live. So I draw the Silent Boots. I don't think I set it. There's no real need to do anything here. He has to answer my my card on the board, and I don't think he's going to find a way to go through it. So he finally sets up the Conquistador here, which is fine. So I draw Reinforcement of the Army. This can be activated right away now because this is about to go into the graveyard from its own effect. So I go ahead and try to activate it. He uses Mascis right off the bat, which is fine for me. This is going to be a minus on his end, because I'm not going to special summon at all this turn. So I don't decide to attack here, because I could have put my Zeus into attack mode and tried to attack this, but that would have been able to put his Golden Lord online, and I don't want to do that. So now he finally decides to activate the effect here. I decide to Zeus in response, just to get stuff in the graveyard. The Zeus is going away anyway, but I want to see, because he's been making kind of weird plays, if he uses his counter trap, which is that's not how that works. Anyway, he uses the counter trap, which is right here in the middle. If he uses that, then I can get like more cards out of the deal. So I'm kind of just baiting him to do that play and see if he takes the bait or not. He doesn't. He just lets us go through, and then all my cards go in the graveyard. So he sets in fear of me having something. Now, I don't know what I think this one I know is... I think I actually don't know what that one is. I know that he is at least a Golden Land forever. And then I get Speed Root Terratop here. I, again, try to bait out by activating the Terratop and see if he'll use the Golden Land forever that I know about. And then I go and try to Link Summon here into Cherubini. Now, all I am really trying to do here is I'm trying to figure out a way for him to put a monster in attack position. He activates the Hakero, which I believe I knew about. I could be wrong. No, I don't think I actually knew about it, but he must have drew that. Yeah, he drew that for turn. Like, I'm just making plays here to put stuff on the board and to make plays. Like, if I can get to a spot where he is putting this Golden Lord into attack mode on the next turn, I'm looking for follow up for getting a guy that's higher than 25 and just trying to like attack over his thing. So I'm making plays and I'm setting up for the future as well by doing this. So he goes and I finally get this Golden Land Forever to go through to finally bait it. What's great here about Cherubini is that Cherubini can activate under Skill Drain. You can always activate your effects under Skill Drain. They just always get negated as long as they're face up. So I can still activate the Cherubini here. I can send a Burning Abyss monster for cost, and it'll be negated, but this Burning Abyss monster will activate in the graveyard. So I can go get the Seer here, and then I link 3 into the Rusty Bardiche. Now, Rusty can't do anything in this spot, but it is an attacker. And I just clear out the monster here. This Ecclesio would have lived if this Skill Drain wasn't up. And now the Seer will actually go and attack the Halcaro. So now he's just left with a card from the top of the deck, a card that I don't know about, this Skill Drain, and the Conquistador. And he has the Golden Lord in the graveyard that he can bring back. But I have stuff in my graveyard, like I have the Silent Boots, I have the Torn Scales. I should be able to make something that will be able to walk over, or at least threatening something to walk over the Golden Lord. So he uses Black Elixir here. Now, I make a misplay, and I activate this card. My own Imperial Order. This is not that great. I could have just kept this set because this Black Elixir doesn't really do that much. It does summon it in defense, so he's not going to be able to do anything like with it. But I was fearing that he could do some kind of like XYZ play with the rank 10s that could deal a lot of damage to me. So I decided to just not have this come out and have him play like a more fair game. So it gets kind of close here. He does use the Eldlich. It was a second copy of Skill Drain. Now, what's interesting is that he had this second copy of Skill Drain. He can't use it because he's at 100 life points, so he has to get rid of it. But if he was at more life points, he probably should have got rid of the face-up one. It's kind of moot here because, again, he's at 100. He can't activate the Skill Drain that's on the board. But if he might want to be able to get rid of his own Skill Drain with Golden Lord in order to activate his effects with his XYZ monsters. So it's something to consider. There's really not that much on my board right now that he has to be too worried about. So I activate the Fogblade here to block the attack on the Rusty Bardiche. I could use Fogblade targeting the Bardiche, but I want the Bardiche to go to the graveyard at a certain point, and I can't link it off ever, because that's a condition on the card, not an effect, so it's not being negated by Skill Drain. So I'm not able to link this card off. It's kind of just having to sit here on the board for a little bit. So it's not the best thing to Fogblade your own guy here in that spot, because that guy doesn't really do that much. Then he uses the Hakero and sets the Scarlet Sanguine. I draw for turn. I draw Twin Twister. Now, it's kind of feel bad because I drew the Twin Twister, which means out to the Skill Drain, right after I activated Imperial Order. If I would have just kept Order in the hand instead of setting it way back, this would have been a really, really good position. I would have just won the game on the spot, I'm pretty sure, because I would have been able to get rid of these back rows. It doesn't matter that he summons another Golden Lord here, because I'm just going to be able to make Axis Code Talker and just kill all of his guys. And just, attack him for at least 100 damage. So, in hindsight, it was really, really bad of me to set this, but setting it prevented that Black Elixir from potentially like killing me on the previous turn. So I activate my boots here to go and get another Fogblade. He's just going to activate the Scarlet Sanguine to get another Golden Lord from the deck. And then I activate the Torn Scales. And I go into Breaksword. And the reason why I did this is because I know that he's going to try to attack. Like, what he's going to do is he's going to XYZ now to unlock his Golden Lord from the Fogblade lockdown. And Fogblade won't go to the graveyard because it became an XYZ material. It never actually went to the graveyard yet. So it doesn't, just doesn't go to the graveyard because it's not how Fogblade works. So I make a guy here in Breaksword, even though I don't have 2 Phantom Knights to bring back in my graveyard, because what I can do is I can Fogblade my own Breaksword and stall the rest of the game out with this Imperial Order. So I'm going to take damage from this Imperial Order, and I'm going to try to sit on this guy for as long as possible to see if he won't target it with an effect and try to kill it. Actually, he can't target it. No, he can't. I don't think he can target it for. Yeah, he just can't target it for attacks, but he can target it for card effects. So yeah, I'm gonna try to sit on this Fogblade for as long as or on this Fogbladed Breaksword for as long as possible, because I finally drew the out in Twin Twister. I just have to wait until my Imperial Order goes off. Or if I draw a Forbidden Droplet, actually I don't think I can Forbidden Droplet because Skill Drain is up, so you can't activate it since Skill Drain is actively negating everything on the board. You can't negate something that's already being negated. So he does go off here and set another copy of, I believe it's Hakero that he set. I think we can look at it in the log real quick. Oh, he set it. He set another Conquistador, which is fine. It'll be able to pop this, but he has to get an Eldlich on the board to do so. So he makes the cannon here, activates the effect of the cannon, which gets negated, and then he makes the tank, the Juggernaut cannon. I mean, this kind of looks like a tank. Uses sends that for the Conquistador for that, which is kind of weird. I guess he could have just used the Conquistador. He could have sent this card and then used the Conquistador to pop this. And then I would have been forced to Fogblade, or you could have just used it to Fogblade. So not playing around that there. And then he just summons Fleur-de-Lis. On the Fleur-de-Lis summon, because he revealed the last card, I know what this is already. I just do this. Battle phase he attacks, I take 19, which kind of actually helps the clock here. Then he sets another Scarlet Sanguine. So I set the Twin Twister here. This is probably bad because this opens the Twin Twister up to interaction, where I'm losing the Imperial Order on my turn, so I should have just kept this in the hand. Because like I said, I'm losing any kind of interaction that he might have. I'm going to be losing to it. So what he could do here is if he draws a spell and trap, which he could go for a link play, link off his Golden Lords, link off his guys, and then add the Golden Lord back to the hand by popping the Hakero that he just got, then use it to pop this and just try to attack. Now, what'll happen is I will use the Fogblade to bring back. Well, it's important to note that underneath this this Breaksword is the Seer and is the Phantom Knights of Torn Scales. So if he does kill this, I'll be able to Fogblade something back, and then I can trigger my Torn Scales to get chump blockers back. And my Seer will also trigger, and that'll probably, for defense, we'll just get back Wrath. So it is something to note and to try to play through. I think if he had Link Material, something to Link Summon into that's good enough to clear this, he would have been able to just switch this to attack mode. He could even switch this to attack mode and just have this Conquistador here deal the lethal point of damage. But I don't think he sees the line, and it's possible that what happened here is way back when he used the Pot of Extravagance. He could have banished some of his link plays off of the Pot of Extravagance and didn't have the option to actually go into them. He might only have one of these cannons, so he might have one Gustav Max. So it's impossible to tell without like knowing what they banished off of the Pot of Extravagance. So finally, this gets destroyed. 2 Imperial Orders later, we're both at very low life points. He's at 100, I'm at 400. I finally activate the Twin Twister. I discard this card that's not really doing anything. It doesn't really matter if he maxes me here because I'm just going to kill him. I know what both of these cards are, so I think one of them's a Hakero, and I think the other one's a Scarlet Sanguine. It doesn't really matter because it's something that summons something out. Yeah. So I just use Twin Twister on my own Fog Blade, and then I destroy it. Oh, it's another Hakero. I did use this effect to destroy the one because I think I just like forgot which one it was. Seer's gonna bring back the Link 2, and then we just make Access Code Talker here. Access Code Talker effect will increase it by 2,000, targeting the Link 2, the Cherubini, and then we just attack the Fleur-de-Lis for lethal damage. So that was a game that looked kind of rough at the start. It looked even more rough when I made a misplay and activated my own Imperial Order, but we were able to stall long enough in order to draw into the out to the skill drain. He put a bunch of guys on board in attack position, and we were able to just clear out his entire board. Well, not clear out his entire board, just make a big guy in Access Code Talker, and finally walk over his big dudes. So I think that this is it's definitely not the highest like level of gameplay and a lot of like I don't think it's something that's like technical wise it's like amazing technically, but I think it does show that you have to really assess the situations that you find yourself in this game. It's never over, even after turn 1. Even there's some spots where like maybe it is just over, like they combo off and it's so overwhelming that you're not able to break through whatever board that they set up, or they just have like the perfect counter for your hand, and that's one way. But sometimes you're able to, like, if you see that they're low on resources and they've just used like what those 2 floodgates to stop you, if you play it out, you may be able to somehow eke out a victory. That's all I really wanted to say regarding this duel specifically. Hopefully we'll find some more games in the future to take a look at. If you guys have any games that you want me to assess and or any just games that you find interesting that you want to be highlighted here, go ahead and send them over to me. You can find me, just send it to me on YouTube or something. And yeah, it'd be cool. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for next time.